Caitlin Clark didn't sneak into the WNBA. She didn't surprise anyone. From the jump, everyone knew she was coming. They saw the record-breaking college run. They saw the sold-out crowds. They saw the viral logo threes. What they didn't expect was for her impact to hit this hard, this fast. From the moment she stepped onto a WNBA court, she became the center of the league. Her debut broke viewership records. Ticket sales skyrocketed. Even games she wasn't playing in saw bumps in attendance just because she was in the building the night before. Her jersey, best-selling. Her name, a brand bigger than the league itself. And with all that visibility came the pushback. Sure, the league posted her highlights. Sure, some players smiled for press day and sent out their welcome tweets, but watch what happened next. Veterans started giving clipped answers when asked about her. The hits started coming harder, the fouls more blatant. And when it came time for the All-Star player vote, Clark, the top fan vote-getter in the league, wasn't even voted the best guard on her own team. This isn't a coincidence. It's not just competition. It's not growing pains, it's a pattern, it's resentment, and it's being captured on camera every single week. And if you're still not convinced, let's break it down. We'll show you the quotes and the footage, because the truth is loud. And it's not coming from the league's official Twitter page, it's coming from inside the locker rooms. The first warning sign didn't come from a hard foul. It came from a smile. ESPN sat down with former WNBA players, people who are supposed to uplift the league's future. And as they discussed Clark's impact, they didn't focus on her game, her growth, or her record-breaking popularity. They gave her a role.
I see just exponential growth of the game, right? She brings eyes to the game so that the next generation can come out and thrive. Just a dynamic player, just exciting to watch. Her villain origin story has started, and she loves to play into it, and the fans eat it right up, and so that we can see the next generation coming in and carrying it along too.
Villain origin story? Caitlin Clark didn't stomp on anyone's logo. She didn't go on a podcast and trash talk veterans. She's been quiet in interviews, humble in defeat, and laser-focused on her team, but they still branded her the villain. Not the media, not the fans, former players did. And this is how it starts. You create a narrative. Then that narrative justifies the behavior that follows. She plays like a villain. So when someone shoulder checks her in transition, it's fair, she embraces the hate, so when players leave her out of post-game praise, it's deserved. She's taking over the headlines. So when she's snubbed by her peers, well, that's what villains get. This wasn't commentary, this was set up. A subtle reframing of Clark from breakout rookie to calculated threat. And it didn't take long for players to act accordingly. The fans spoke first. They voted Caitlin Clark the leading all-star vote-getter in the entire league, ahead of everyone. You'd think the players would respect that, but they didn't just disagree. They buried her.
Despite dominating the fans' vote as the WNBA leading all-star vote-getter, Caitlin Clark, all right, she dominated the fans. But when it comes to the players, the Fever star was ranked as the 9th best guard by players. So fellow players rated Clark as the 2nd best guard on her own team behind Kelsey Mitchell.
Let's be clear. This isn't about who's more skilled. It's about sending a message. You can't watch Clark torch vets with 30-footers, lead an entire franchise in scoring, and generate more media coverage than the rest of the league combined, and then rank her 9th behind her own teammate. This wasn't an evaluation. This was punishment. Clark didn't do anything wrong except get too popular, too fast. And that's the part that burns for a lot of these vets. Because for years, they've put up all-star numbers and barely cracked SportsCenter. Then here comes a rookie with a Nike deal and a camera crew, and suddenly the league revolves around her. So the players retaliated the only way they could. They voted her down. They said, you might be the people's choice, but not ours. You might lead in points and impact, but not in respect. You haven't earned it. But here's the kicker. She had. Because that vote didn't reveal a lack of talent. It revealed just how threatened the league really is. When Chennedy Carter blindsided Caitlin Clark during a dead ball, the sports world stopped. This wasn't physical play. It wasn't rookie hazing. There was no ball in play, just a body check, out of nowhere. And everyone had a take. Some called it just physicality. Some said she had it coming. And then there was Napheesa Collier, one of the league's most respected veterans. Here's what she said.
Yeah, it's been crazy. Honestly, I think it's great for the sport. I don't agree with what Kennedy did, and she apologized herself. I don't think that was right, but just the coverage in general. I mean, any publicity is good publicity, right? And it gets people talking about the sport. It has, like you said, you guys are talking about it. Everyone is talking about it. And so that brings more eyeballs to the game. Again, I don't agree with what she did, but I like the fact that women's basketball and women's sports is such a conversation piece.
Let's pause. This wasn't a hard foul in transition. This was an intentional act outside of play, a moment where the league had a choice, condemn it or excuse it. And instead, Collier shrugged and said, well, at least people are watching. This is what it means when a league wants the hype, but not the accountability. When a star player gets dropped and the reaction is, did you see the engagement numbers though? That quote doesn't just reveal a problem with Kennedy, it reveals a problem with everyone around her. Because when veterans normalize dirty play by praising the attention it brings, they're not protecting the game, they're exploiting the chaos, and if Caitlin Clark has to be the punching bag to boost viewership, apparently that's just business. Sometimes the disrespect isn't loud. Sometimes it's who they don't mention. When Jewel Lloyd was asked about Caitlin Clark, here's what she said.
Yeah, I'm going to talk about our rookies. Nika's been great. She's been awesome, putting her work in. I think our Jordan has been phenomenal too, her second year of her growth. Our focus is our team and what we need to do as a community to be better. So I feel like what this group has in a locker room has made us better. And that's the biggest importance for us is focusing on our personnel and what we need to do.
Now here's the problem. Caitlin Clark was right there in the media spotlight, in the conversation, literally changing the league's visibility in real time. And Jewel doesn't say a single word. No, she's doing great. No, her presence has been big for the league. Just praise for everyone else. That's not an accident. That's intentional omission. That's the league's most marketable player getting treated like an afterthought. And what's worse, it's become normal. You can lead your team in scoring. You can sell out every road game you touch and still get zero acknowledgement from your peers. Because that's how you send a message without saying anything at all. Let's rewind to a moment that didn't involve a foul, a vote, or a headline. Just a quiet sideline interaction. Kelsey Plum, one of the WNBA's most recognizable veterans, is walking courtside when she spots a fan.
Thank you.
The girl's wearing a Caitlin Clark jersey. Plum hands her a Sparks t-shirt and with a smile says, "Do better." Then she poses for a picture with the fan. At first glance, it looks harmless, polite, even friendly. But listen again. Do better? She saw the Clark jersey and decided to correct it. Now maybe that's just competitive spirit. Maybe it's a playful nudge to support the home team. But given everything else we've seen from Plum, it feels less like a joke and more like a pattern. Because this wasn't an isolated moment. At a separate event, the league had its all-star showcase. The players came out wearing black shirts with bold letters, "Pay us what you owe us." It was supposed to be a moment of unity, a protest for better pay, a league-wide statement from everyone, veterans, stars, rookies. And yes, Caitlin Clark wore the same shirt. She stood on the same court. She was part of the same movement. But when Kelsey Plum was asked about it later, she added something completely unnecessary.
That was a very powerful moment. We didn't, at least as players, we didn't know that was going to happen. So I think it was kind of like a genuine surprise. But the T-shirt, just united front, was determined this morning that we had a meeting for. And, not to tattletale, but 0 members of Team Clark were very present for that.
Clark was there. She wore the shirt. There was no public divide until Plum created one. She could have said, "It was a great moment for all of us." She could have left it at that. Instead, she made sure to isolate Clark, to imply she wasn't fully committed, to plant the idea that maybe she doesn't belong in that circle. So let's not pretend this is about unity. First, Plum tells a Clark fan to do better. Then she subtly questions whether Clark's team was even present for a moment of league-wide solidarity. That's not playful. That's not leadership. That's passive-aggressive politics from a veteran who clearly feels the shift and doesn't like who's at the center of it. And just when you think Kelsey Plum couldn't make it more obvious, she does this.
The bus was right here.
Don't y'all find that kind of weird? Low-key? Like low-key, come on.
A little, but
Okay.
I'm
really turned off right now.
I'm just a fan, though.
I know, I appreciate that.
Can you sign one? You can put my name on it.
One.
Awesome.
I'll sign one.
Okay, can I get you on that one?
Yeah.
Keep killing it this year. Appreciate that.
Whichever one.
That's not heat of the moment trash talk. That's just being obnoxious. It's one thing to have opinions on a player, but going out of your way to clown a fan just for wanting an autograph? That's petty, especially coming from someone who hasn't been relevant in the national conversation for years. She's handing out Sparks shirts over Clark jerseys like it's some kind of statement, then calling fans weird for showing support. You can't say you care about growing the game and then mock the very people who are showing up. Because if Caitlin Clark's already the face of the league in just her first years, where does that leave the vets who thought it would always be them? That's the part no one says out loud. It's not competition, it's frustration. And when players start throwing shade instead of support, you're not seeing mutual respect. You're seeing resentment hiding behind fake professionalism. There was a moment, caught on video, during a game. You probably saw the clip, everyone did. Brittany Griner sitting courtside muttering something under her breath. Something that made waves across the internet. People zoomed in. It looked ugly. And instantly, the debate started. Was it a racial slur? Was it aimed at Caitlin Clark? Was it trash talk gone too far? But instead of clearing the air, Griner was approached about it and gave this response.
I remember falling out, being mad. I remember falling out on, I believe it was Howard, driving to the basket. They said I put my hand in. But hey, you never really have to look at this shade, so.
But what did you say?
I really can't remember what I said, honestly.
If I showed you the video, would that help?
No, it wouldn't help.
No, it wouldn't help. That's not accountability. That's avoidance. Because when someone says they can't remember what came out of their mouth during the most controversial moment of their season, they're not trying to clarify. They're trying to move on without consequence. And guess what? It worked. There was no apology, no fine, no league statement. Just silence, again. Let's flip the script for a second. If Caitlin Clark had been caught on video muttering something unclear but interpreted as racial, the entire WNBA world would have come crashing down. Think pieces, panel discussions, sponsors issuing statements, teammates distancing themselves. But Griner? She gets to say, "I don't remember," and walks away. No one pressed her. No one asked her to clarify. No one said, "Hey, the whole internet is dissecting this clip. Maybe it deserves a real answer." Instead, it vanished from headlines within 48 hours, and Caitlin? She just had to sit with it. Pretend it didn't happen. Move on. This wasn't a minor player. This was Brittany Griner, Olympic gold medalist, one of the faces of the league, someone the WNBA bent over backwards to support during her detainment in Russia. And when it was time to show that same respect to someone else, she had nothing to say. The quote, "I don't remember," tells you everything. Because it's not just that Griner said something disrespectful, it's that the league didn't care. The media didn't care. The players didn't care. They didn't want the truth. They wanted it to go away. And once again, Caitlin Clark was left alone in the middle of it. No protection, no defense, no answers. Just more evidence that when the disrespect comes for her, everyone suddenly forgets how to speak. While Caitlin Clark was getting shoved, elbowed, and snubbed on the court, something started happening off the court too. The media, instead of digging into what was really going on, started doing something different. They started redirecting, somehow pivoted away from Caitlin. Debates about the rise in WNBA viewership? Suddenly there were lectures about sharing the spotlight. And it wasn't just sports hosts or podcast pundits. Even the WNBA Commissioner, Cathy Engelbert, got in on it.
You want to balance making sure that you're also promoting your other stars like an A'ja Wilson, like a Brianna Stewart. Nafisa Collier killed it last year. I mean, she was the runner-up, MVP, and the Defensive Player of the Year.
Let's be clear. This isn't about Wilson, Stewart, or Collier. This is about Caitlin. And how every time she rises, the league scrambles to shift the spotlight. It's about why that praise is being positioned like a counterweight. Because the question wasn't who's elite, it was about Caitlin Clark getting so much attention. And instead of answering that honestly, with things like attendance numbers, ratings boosts, sold-out arenas, we got deflection. Let's make sure we're promoting the other stars too. Translation? Let's not make this all about her. Let's shift the narrative before this gets uncomfortable. But here's the truth. Caitlin didn't steal the spotlight. She earned it. She didn't ask for ESPN to put her on the front page. She forced them to, by becoming the most watched athlete in the league overnight. So when the commissioner of the WNBA says we need to balance the attention, what she's really saying is this new energy is threatening the old order. And instead of embracing the shift, the league is trying to manage it, soften it, redirect it. Not with numbers, not with storylines, but with politics and press quotes. And what are they hoping for? That fans won't notice. But we noticed, and the cameras caught it too. While some players try to hide the shade behind vague answers and fake smiles, Angel Reese, she's leaned into it. She doesn't pretend to play nice, she doesn't dodge questions. She knows the cameras are on, and she knows exactly what she's doing.
I'll take that of being able to be the person that gets the hate, but I know that at the end of the day, I'm growing women's basketball and helping women's basketball.
That quote says a lot, because Angel isn't denying the rivalry. She's embracing it. She knows there's a narrative. Caitlin Clark is the clean-cut star. Angel is the fire starter. And instead of pushing back, Angel's saying, fine, I'll be the villain. She's playing into it, fully aware of what it means for her image, her brand, and her influence. But here's the problem. When Angel talks about getting the hate, it's not coming from nowhere. She's taken plenty of heat, no question. But she's also returned fire. She's the one who waved the "you can't see me" in Caitlin's face. She's the one who got a flagrant one for hitting Clark in the head. She's the one who says things like this, while Caitlin's still playing it safe in interviews. So when Reese says she's helping the game, what she's really saying is the drama helps, and it does, but it also comes at a cost. Because while Reese gets to be the self-proclaimed villain, Caitlin Clark gets cast as the one deserving the backlash. The league can't have it both ways. You can't praise Reese for embracing the rivalry while expecting Clark to take cheap shots without reacting. You can't build the drama, feed the machine, and then call Clark soft when she flinches. And Reese knows it. That's why she says it so cleanly. She knows what her role is, and she's comfortable in it. But let's be real. The players didn't assign these roles. The league and the media did. And if Reese is going to be the villain, that means Clark is the target. Then came the eye poke. Caitlin Clark got swiped right in the face during a play that had nothing to do with the ball. Slow-motion replay made it obvious. Her head jerks. She stumbles, her eyes watering. And what did Dejanai Carrington say afterward?
I don't even know why I would intend to hit anybody in the eye. That doesn't even make sense to me, but no, I didn't. I didn't know I hit her, actually. I was trying to make a play on the ball, and I guess I followed through and I hit her, so obviously it's never intentional. That's not even like the type of player that I am. So yeah.
Here we go again. The intentional looking hit, the clearly affected opponent, and the casual denial, I didn't know, I wouldn't do that. That's not the type of player I am. That last one, that's the favorite fallback line in the WNBA this season. But the tape shows something else. And Caitlin's black eye says more than any quote ever could. This wasn't a basketball accident. This was frustrating. And once again, the player who threw the contact isn't held accountable. Not by the refs, not by the league, not even by the post-game media. Because apparently, when it's Caitlin Clark taking the hit, nobody really saw anything. Sometimes it's not what they say. It's what they refuse to say. Let's go back to the moment. Chennedy Carter's viral hit on Caitlin Clark, the one that didn't happen during the flow of the game. Not during a defensive rotation, not in the heat of a fast break. It happened during a dead ball. Caitlin was trying to start the next play. The ball wasn't even in yet. And Carter lowered her shoulder into Clark's spine. It was a hit you don't see in basketball. You see it in football. You see it in hockey. You see it when someone wants to send a message, not play a game. And after that, Carter became the center of attention. Cameras, reporters, all asking one thing, why? And her response?
I ain't answering no Caitlin Clark questions.
Did she say anything to you?
I don't know what she said.
What'd you say to her?
I didn't say anything.
That's enough.
That wasn't a denial. That wasn't a regret. That wasn't even a defense. That was full-on stonewalling. You don't go silent like that unless you know what you did. You don't refuse to speak unless you're protecting something or someone. And the worst part? She didn't need to apologize because the league didn't make her. Her teammates didn't hold her accountable. The veterans stayed quiet. If anything, the silence was louder than the hit. This wasn't one player snapping. This was a collective decision. Let Clark take the hit, let her walk it off, and let's move on like nothing happened. Because that's what happens when the league has already decided she's on her own. The league hasn't made an official statement, no press release, no fines for the shoulder check, no suspensions for the eye poke, no condemnation for the snubs, and they probably never will. Because that's the beauty of the plan. No one ever has to say anything. Not when the actions scream louder than the words. Not when a veteran stares at a rookie's jersey and chooses to hand out someone else's. Not when a player delivers a dead ball hit and then says, "I ain't answering Caitlin Clark questions." Not when you get labeled a villain before you even get a chance to speak. This isn't a rivalry. This is a quiet campaign, and every player who shrugs, who downplays, who can't remember is playing their part. But the real story here isn't just about the disrespect. It's about how Caitlin Clark responds to it. Because despite everything, the physicality, the cold shoulders, the voting snubs, the sly digs, the eerie silence, she still shows up. She still drops threes from 30 feet out, still sets records, still signs autographs until her hand hurts, still carries herself like she belongs, because she does. Caitlin doesn't fight back with words. She fights back with wins. And if the rest of the league thinks they can push her out by ignoring her, by freezing her out of press clips and locker room praise, they're in for a surprise. Because every hard foul becomes a headline. Every cold stare becomes a camera shot. Every cheap shot becomes a replay. They can try to pretend she's not the story, but the entire country's already watching. And here's the twist. All that hate, all that resistance, it's only making her bigger. She's not just surviving the WNBA's Cold War, she's thriving in it. While other players try to silence her, the world keeps turning up the volume. While the league tries to redirect attention, she keeps dragging it back to center court. While her peers try to erase her with ballots, clips, and backhanded quotes, she keeps writing her name into the history books. And if you're still not sure what's really going on, just go back and rewatch the clips. Listen again, closer this time. Watch the smirks, the shrugs, the jersey snubs, the no-comment quotes. The moments where everyone seems to look away at the same time. That's not a coincidence. That's how the WNBA shows you exactly what it thinks without ever saying a word. And what does Caitlin Clark do in response? She lets her game say everything they won't.